Zulaiha Hamid, and you're welcome to News Hour Live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Coming up in this edition of the news, on International Youth Day, youths are called to discuss violence and adopt positive dialogue methods as a grievance redress mechanism. UN resident coordinator bids farewell to President Madabio to end his 4.5 years term in office. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs trains 22 career officers before commencing their overseas duty posts. Well, all these stories plus news around the African continent and sports are lined up in this edition of the news. But first, let's have the coronavirus preventive message.
You see how this woman wearing mask? Now so you say for wear your mask. If for cover your nose and your mouth all time. No use mask way small for you. No take the mask and put on your chin. Not to chin guard. No wear your mask and left your nose na door. Because now you know small the virus they pass for enter your body. Where you wear mask, if you cover your nose and your mouth, take go under your chin. If you not wear and so, it no go protect you. So, wear your mask.
Welcome back to News Hour. Remember to stay safe at all times and wear your mask properly. Now, a 2-day training for attire base and ghetto youth has been held at the Harry Yansane Hall on Campbell Street in Freetown. Organized by the West African Youth Network, the exercise is to complement government's effort in promoting peace and youth participation in all aspects of development. Hawanatu Conte sent in this report.
The training was to create positive and constructive dialogue that will give the much result and enable youths of attire bases and ghettos deceased from the acts of violence they are usually accused of perpetrating. This training was to pass on messages that will cement the gap between the governed and the governors, especially young people at attire bases and ghettos who hold the belief of being marginalized. West African Youth Network wants to change the narrative, perspective, and ideology the society placed that people in attire base and ghettos are not serious and are the main route and conduits to violent activities. Participants discussed conflict analysis and mediation among several other issues. According to them, the training has helped their obedience and respect, engagement in development activities, collaboration with stakeholders, bridge communication gap, and peaceful coexistence. Executive Assistant of West African Youth Network, Raymond Beckley, said the move is a response to the call of President Bio on the involvement of civil society organizations in the promotion of peace in the country. These sets of youths, he said, were targeted mainly because they are often seen as perpetrators of violence.
These are the people politicians usually meet. These are the people, big people usually meet to perpetrate violence because they have that kind of a stereotype that people at the ghetto and at their base, they don't have focus. If we're able to give them money, they'll do anything.
Peace, Mr. Beckley went on, is of paramount to the development of a nation, noting that if a country is threatened by violence and conflicts, it will lead to anarchy. The West African Youth Network is a youth-led organization formed in 2001 to serve as an incubating center for young people to actualize their dreams and God's given talents. Planning officer of the network, Ansumana Keita, said that over the past years, they have been engaging school-going pupils and university students, but took a U-turn to engaging attire-based and ghetto youths due to their pivotal roles in national development. These young people who have been selected from the east and west of Freetown will now serve as ambassadors in their various localities.
The Executive Director, Center for Coordination of Youth Activities, CCYA, Abigail Stevens, has said that this year's International Youth Day will put the youth on the spotlight through the interconnected stream of engagements at local and national levels. She was speaking during the celebration of the International Youth Day on the theme Youth Engagement for Global Action in Congress Hall, Kutown Road. Thomas Nina reports.
The theme of this year's celebration of the International Youth Day is Youth Empowerment for Global Action, which seeks to highlight the ways in which the engagement of young people at the local, national, and global levels is enriching national and multilateral institutions. In Sierra Leone, to mark this day, events are organized by local organizations, youth groups, local non-governmental organizations, and government through the Ministry of Youth Affairs and the National Youth Commission, with wider engagement with young people and other development partners. The Executive Director, Center for Coordination of Youth Activities, CCYA, Abigail Stevens, said the day gives an opportunity for governments and other partners to draw attention to youth issues worldwide through concerts, workshops, cultural events, conferences involving local and national government officials and youth organizations around the world. She said Sierra Leone is currently on the review process of the youth policy for a year now by CBA policy groups commissioned by the Ministry of Youth Affairs to review the outdated National Youth Policy, National Youth Commission Act, and the National Youth Service Act of 2019.
A committee of experts was constituted by the Ministry of Youth Affairs to provide expert opinion on the review process, and Center for Coordination of Youth Activities is part of that committee. CCYA, in collaboration with young people, the Ministry of Youth Affairs, and the National Youth Commission, with support from Operation A Day's Work, Tasvaki, Finland, through the project titled Expanding the Space for Socio-Economic Empowerment of Marginalized Rural Poor Youth, is engaging young people, youth-serving organizations, youth groups, district youth council, young people with disabilities in today's National Advocacy Consultative Conference.
The Executive Director, Global Youth Network, Musa Khalil Koma, said this year's theme, Youth Engagement for Global Action, is in line with the process of the National Youth Policy Review, adding that the youth needs to reflect on the past 5 years themes and see whether they were achievers. The Chairman, National Council Civic Education, Kalilu Tutangi, said the theme for this year's celebration is important because it talks about engaging young people, taking action, adding that one of his duties at the Civic Education Council is to help young people and communities in various areas so that they can take actions and better themselves. A civil society activist, Musa Ansumana Suku, said the National Youth Policy has been hanging for the longest time without addressing the critical issues affecting the youth, adding that they were eager to see how the process will unfold. Alfonso Mali of Civil Rights Coalition and Mabel Cole of Purpose Living also made meaningful contributions. At the end of the day's conference, CCYA will support the youth to develop a youth position paper on the review committee through the Ministry of Youth Affairs for consideration and immediate action. For News Hour in Freetown, Thomas Neal reporting.
Meanwhile, Zion, a Happy Home Foundation, has provided free technical and vocational institutes for youths that are considered to be vulnerable at the Kaningo community. The tech voc is to support the said youth to refrain from all street activities and become self-reliant. For more on this, let's join my colleague, Marama Suma.
This community was one of the worst by the August 2017 mudslide and flooding disaster that killed dozens of Sierra Leoneans and left many homeless. As a result, many of the inhabitants, especially the youth, suffered immensely to the extent of becoming dropouts. Some of the girls became, and the boys ended up on the streets. It is now hoped that the tech voc, which has been provided by Zion, a Happy Home Foundation, will help to positively transform the way of life and livelihoods of the Kaningo youth. For a community like Kaningo, Chief Executive Officer of Zion, a Happy Home Foundation, Pastor Ngwani Claude, said The best gift one could offer them is a skills empowerment platform for self-reliance.
This will contribute more, and even to the group of the nation Sierra Leone, in the sense that what has been done to them today, they have seen another level of love. They have seen another level of understanding. They have had another level of understanding of what true love is all about, and what the gospel of Jesus Christ is all about. Because today, like those who are doing their IT, some of them will get correspondence and do their online classes and will upgrade in their academics. Some who are learning the trade today will be able to better their life. Some don't have where to live. Some are street children. But today, if they learn here and they open a center tomorrow or they open their workshops tomorrow, they'll be able to cater for themselves, their loved ones, and their families.
Community stakeholder Saido Kuruma appreciated Zion A Happy Home Foundation for the kind gesture. The facility, it said, could not have come at a better time than now, when the entire community is surrounded by poverty.
And we're hoping that this community will be transformed into something much, much better, to a high level in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of people knowing what to do in times of problems, how to take care of their own lives, to solve problems around them. So that's what life is about.
The center offers tailoring, ICT, hairdressing, arts and catering courses. A beneficiary, Christopher Kaimondo, expressed joy for what he has been yearning for to have been made easily available in their community for their positive change to society's development and peace.
I just want to say, I just want to encourage you all for us to come in here every day for class. Because with this organization, we can do something for ourselves. With the help of God, I know that as for me and we all, we can be somebody in this community. And as for this community, so many people have come here with this organization without doing it. But with the help of Happy Home and Zion, I know this community will be the best community in Lumley as.
The center was made possible with support from offerings and other contributions made by members of the Zion Happy Home Ministry Church. For SLBC News, Maria Musuma reporting.
Career officers from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation are undergoing a 2-day induction program to guide them through their different missions overseas. The training was held at the Ministry's conference room at Tar Hill in Freetown. Here's the report. These diplomats, who are expected to be the faces and agents of change for the country in their respective countries of posting, are to leave the shores of Sierra Leone anytime from now for their overseas assignment. The induction program was to urge them to change the administrative momentum, improve service delivery and social life from the trend of the predecessors. Director General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Florence Bangali, said they will remain a reliable partner in respect of service delivery and evaluation of their work. Madam Bangali said the concept of diplomacy, which has been taught, should not only be understood but put into best practices regardless of hierarchy.
We are talking about 22 officers in different cadres. We have minister, plenipotentiary, we have minister councillors, we have councillors, first secretaries, second secretaries, and third secretaries. We have officers going to New York, our mission is New York. We have officers going to the United Kingdom, our mission in the UK, in process. We have officers going to Guinea, Liberia, Ghana, all over. We have officers going to so many countries, even in Asia and Middle East countries.
Her deputy, Dwai Lunge, said because this is the first time some of these officers have been posted to these countries, it is important for them to understand the environmental and cultural difference of their missions.
This is a moment of change, as has rightly pointed out. So we are expecting you, when you go there, to be agents of change. And we are also going to make sure that we empower you people out there. Those of you who have served before, most of you here have served in our missions before, you know and are aware of some of these challenges. We've been trying our very best with Madam Bangali's administration to try to address some of these problems, some of these challenges.
One of the facilitators of the training, Ja Margaret Jamaturi, shared with the new diplomats experiences of others before them that arrival, settling down at posts, family administration and work of the officers are key to the projection and interests of the nation. Times, she reminded them, have changed, and officers should be keen on how they carry themselves and those who intend to be taken as family members.
The legal requirements, make sure you check on those requirements before you take anybody. Because they take you to immigration, oh, this person has done, and these days there are laws for trafficking, etc., etc. They say you're doing human trafficking, you're doing this, you're doing, you're taking people to slave labor and all that. And it has all sorts of names these days. And they have the institutions there which support them. So don't get into trouble because of those things. You maintain a cordial relationship so that your work goes on smoothly. Please do that, and you will succeed in your post.
The facilitators made it clear that the ability of the officers to survive and thrive with the new national assignment and their adaptation to the laws of any country they find themselves is paramount. Former Director General of the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation, Dr. Ivan Ajibola Thomas, has passed away. Before his appointment as Director General, he had worked for the then Sierra Leone Broadcasting Service for many years before proceeding to Slbc College to further his education. On completion of his course, he worked for the Anti-Corruption Commission, from where he came to head the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation until 2015, when he left for the attitudinal and behavioral change. He was a lecturer at the Slbc College, University of Sierra Leone. May his soul rest in perfect peace. The United Nations UN Resident Coordinator to Sierra Leone, Dr. Sonil Sagang, has bid farewell to President Julius Maada Bio, bringing his 4.5-year term of office to an end. After 35 years of service with the United Nations, Mr. Sagang is now proceeding on retirement. For more on this, let's join our State House correspondent, Hawa Musiri.
The outgoing United Nations Resident Coordinator told President Julius Maada Bio that his tenure in the country had been an exciting period, during which he was privileged to witness a number of important landmark events in the history of the country. He also commended the government and people of Sierra Leone for the hospitality and warmness, adding that it would remain with him. He expressed thanks and appreciation to the government for the favorable standing of the United Nations system in the country, as they were also appreciative of the readiness of government at all levels to engage and dialogue with them. Dr. Siga noted that the United Nations is a trusted partner to Sierra Leone and expressed hope that his successor would continue to provide the support to government.
I do wish to put on record that we in the UN, we commend the government for the early and decisive action that was taken to prevent the arrival of the disease in the country, but also, if after the inevitable happened, really to stem the spread. The official figures are relatively low. The official infection figures are relatively low if you look at other countries. I'm sure that there must be some individuals who escape the official statistics, but my hope is that the curve will continue to be, if I may put it that way, a softer curve, rather than seeing a steep spike which will put a strain on the health systems.
President Julius Maada expressed gratitude to the outgoing resident coordinator for the many programs he had been involved in the country, especially in the areas of good governance, sustainable agriculture and food security, climate change, expanded access to basic services, including education, health, water and sanitation, and energy protection and empowerment of the most vulnerable.
You have not just been a witness, as you said, you've been part of it, you know. I remember the many times we had to meet, before the election, after the election, and the many things we have done. It is not easy to make a nation. And you have played your part, and we are trying to do our part too. It's quite a difficult and complicated process, complex, but some people have to do it. And for us, history will remember you for having been a part of this at a very difficult time. You've done quite a lot, and I will not go over everything that you have done, but we want to just say thank you for having been there for us, even with COVID, as recent as COVID.
Dr. Sonia Sega will leave the shores of Sierra Leone at any time from now. Slbc TV News are in Freetown. Moswe reporting.
Well, you're still watching News Hour live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation with me, Zulaiha Tuhamid. It's now time for news around the African continent. Almost all the fuel oil from Japanese-owned ship that has caused a huge oil spill off the coast of Mauritius has been pumped out, Prime Minister Pravin Jagwat has said. The operation had been a race against time and amid fears that the MV Mashok would break up. The ship, believed to have been carrying 4,000 tons of fuel oil, ran aground on a coral reef on 25th July. Mauritius is home to world-renowned coral reefs and popular with tourists. The fuel has been transferred to shore by helicopter and to another ship owned by the same Japanese firm, Nagasaki Shipping. A court in Nigeria has fined 3 men 52,000 United States dollars each for hijacking a ship in March and securing a ransom of $200,000 for the release of its crew. These are the first convictions in the West African state since a new anti-law piracy came into force last year. Nigeria has been under pressure from the shipping industry to curb piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. It accounts for more than 80% of maritime kidnappings globally, the International Maritime Bureau says. The 3, who are believed to include 2 Nigerians and a foreign national, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of piracy during their trial in the High Court in the oil hub of Port Harcourt. Militants linked to an Islamic State group have seized a heavily defended port in Mozambique after days of fighting, according to reports. Local media says government forces that were in the far northern town of Mocimboa da Pari fled, many by boat, after Islamists stormed the port. The town is close to the site of natural gas projecting worth of 60 million United States dollars. In recent months, militants have taken a number of northern towns, displacing tens of thousands of people. This was also one of the several attacks on Mocimboa da Praia this year, as Islamic State-linked militants have stepped up attacks in the regions. The port is used for cargo deliveries to the oil projects about 60 miles away, which are being developed by oil giants including Total. Well, that's all for news around the African continent. Let's now find out what's happening in the world of sports.
updates on the news with me, Frances Bernard. In this edition, we'll bring you the latest on the National Sports Authority's registration process. And in tennis, we shall be talking about former world number 1 Serena Williams. The head of Media and Communications National Sports Authority has disclosed to the Slbc that the registration process for sporting disciplines to be part of the authority has ended. According to Eric Fomba, about 30 sporting disciplines completed the process, while others failed to honor the process. Let's join Mohamed Laminture for more on this.
Media and Communication National Sport Authority Eric Fomba has said since they took office they have worked hard to rebrand sports in the country. Sporting discipline we are given time to register within 5 months when the authority started operations.
The technical committee of the NSA will now sit, they meet, they look at each and every form that is being returned to the office, and we look at them from there. We recommend to the management of the authority that because of this reason, because of that reason, this association is hereby recommended to be registered under category A or under category B, or this association is hereby put on pending until certain documents are fulfilled.
He said the authority and policy are critical tools towards the sustainable transformation of sports governance mechanism in the country. As an authority, their priority include ensuring the play and win, encourage participation and sustainable sport, commercializing sport, improving sport career development and maintaining high organizational excellence within the sporting sector.
And in the international scene, former world number 1 Serena Williams recovered from a set and 3 break points down to beat compatriot Bernarda Pera in her first match in 6 months. The American, who has 23 Grand Slam singles titles, was in deep trouble when 4-6 and 0-40 down at 4-4 in the second set at the top seed Open in Kentucky. But she recovered to prevail 4-6, 6-4, 6-1 in 2 hours and 15 minutes. Williams will next play her sister Venus Williams, another former world number 1, after her straightforward 6-3, 6-2 wins over Victoria Azarenka. The 38-year-old has also said that she is still planning to play in the US Open and French Open scheduled to start on the 27th of September this year.
Fantastic service game.
But that's it for the latest in sports on the news. I am Frances Bernard.
Many thanks to Frances Bernard for the sports updates. Let's now have entertainment news. Hello, in this entertainment news updates, not so popular but making impact with the Sierra Leone name and flag in Ghana. We have been attracted by the work of Mariam Jallow, who goes by music stage name Mijay. She was born in Sierra Leone to a Ghanaian mother and a Sierra Leonean father. Mijay studied financial service at IPAM but had developed so much love for music since she was 11.
It's a lot. Let go me, let me, give back the key. Jiggle and wiggle, nobody do it better. Couple and triple, you can't see any further. Triple and triple, my view is clear. Simple something, let me talk to you later. If not me, then who go do it better? Spit on the mic, stop them my saliva. I crown it, if you don't believe it. Oh, yeah.
In 2014, she released her first song titled Baby Makani and Give It All to Me in 2016. In 2018, she released Carry Me Go, which became a hit song and gained her recognition in the Ghanaian music industry and walked the stages of Glow Show Ghana, Madina Star Jam, among others.
Carry me go, oh. If you leave, I go die, oh. Baby, carry me go, oh. No, say me and you with them, so. Baby, carry me go, oh.
What you got? I'm down, you are down, I'm down, we are down, haha. But the girl like me wanna holla, holla for you, baby. Hey. Everybody needs someone to love, and my choice has always been you, my baby. Wanna take it that higher than the mall, you know me, I'm bad like that. Every will be nice, it's a gun gossip. I need you in my life, baby boy, that's all. Mother but me sing cool, me go sing this song. The only wanna see boy, they my eye top. My body on fire, go on to me fella. Hold me tight here, go on to me fella.
In Ghana, where she is currently based, she has performed at the Flex Night of Champions, and in 2019, she was bestowed the honor by the Salem Entertainment Award as the Best Upcoming Artist. Mitchell's new song Sweet Vibes is now on YouTube while she waits to perform at the 2020 Miss Ghana Beauty Pageant. But that's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us. On International Day, youths in some parts of Freetown have been schooled to desist violence and adopt positive dialogue methods as grievance redress mechanism. The UN Resident Coordinator has bid farewell to President Madabio, ending his 4.5 years term in Sierra Leone, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has trained 22 career officers before commencing their overseas duty posts. Well, that's all in this edition of News Hour. Thanks for sharing your time with us. My name is Zulaiha Hamid. Good night.